So guys, I think everyone at this point has heard that Intel 13 and 14th gen CPUs are having a lot of issues if it's either with overvolting from the motherboard BIOS or oxidation from manufacturing. They've been having a ton of issues. Now, I just want to make this video to keep reiterating the point that a lot of other people on YouTube have made, is if you own one of these chips, if you can refund it, please refund it. You do not want to get stuck with a chip that is either degraded because of oxidation, completely doesn't work, or somewhere down the line, before Intel implements this microcode in August now, that you get stuck with a chip that just ends up dying on you because of voltage. And there's a few things you can do. I want to show you some of the things you can do, and mainly the hardware monitoring part of it that you need to do, in my opinion, if you have one of these chips. So I highly recommend that you download MSI Afterburner. And when you download MSI Afterburner, I'll show you all how to do it and set it up, because I know a lot of people don't know how to set this stuff up. You're going to want to watch your CPU temps like a hawk, and you're going to also want to watch your CPU voltages. You're going to want to make sure that it's not pulling more volts than is recommended for the CPU, and you're also going to want to make sure that your CPU is not hitting consistently over 90C. If you're getting anywhere near, I think, consistent 95 to 100C on the temp, you're going to want to change the CPU. You're going to want to refund it immediately, even though I think you should refund your CPU immediately anyways, because this is crazy. And then this is not also to rip on Intel. I love Intel CPUs. I've always loved Intel. My first CPU right here was an Intel 750 back in the day, an i5. And then I upgraded to a 9600K back in the day that I still run on my test bench. I love Intel chips. They're so reliable for the most part, up until now. And kind of why I'm disappointed with them is just the way they've been really scummy about handling this whole issue is crazy. They've not wanted to own up to it. They have tried their best not to help people out with refunds or getting the chips replaced. To my knowledge, they're doing some sort of refunds or some sort of replacement, but they're being really hard with it, especially if you bought it from a third-party site, or if you bought a pre-built. You're out of luck if you can't return the pre-built and it has one of these 13 or 14th gen chips. And also, don't think it's just your i7s and i9s. It is also your i5s and your i3s and your Pentium chips. It could possibly be oxidation. There is a lower percentage, I believe, of malfunctions with these chips for i5s and i3s and Pentiums from this generation. But to be safe, I would look at it. I would be monitoring your temps, monitoring your voltages, and also if you can just refund it or get the chip replaced, I would recommend doing that. So now I'm going to show you guys how to download and configure MSI Afterburner so you can consistently watch your CPU voltage and your CPU temps. And you can have an overlay hopefully at all times to see, hey, is there something going on? Another thing I'd recommend too is also, don't have a 13 or 14th gen chip on me or board at the moment to show this, and I'll leave videos in the description. You're going to want to undervolt, and you're also going to want to underclock your 13 and 14th gen Intel chip, just to be safe. Update your BIOS, the latest version, preferably, and then undervolt and underclock your CPU. If it's underclocking it, 500 megahertz down or whatever, but I would just recommend 500 megahertz lower than it normally is, and you'll still get good performance from it. It won't be the same, max performance, but hopefully you set that safeguard where it can't overclock to the point where you're going to be either over-temping your CPU or setting, your voltage where it just spikes because of the microcode. Intel has said that they're going to release a microcode update for the Intel chips sometime now in August. They still have not released it, which is, I think, crazy. They should have got this out already by now to get this all fixed, but they haven't. But like I said, we're going to show you MSI Afterburner, and I'll show you guys how to configure that now.
Alright everyone, now I'm going to show you guys. Alright everyone, now I'm going to show you all how to download and set up MSI Afterburner so you can see all your CPU temps, your usage, your clock speed, and your voltage. Now, you're going to want to search up MSI Afterburner, and I'm going to leave a link to it in the description, but if you do search through Google, I want you to be very careful because sometimes you will get an ad that says MSI Afterburner, and it's a Google ad, and it's not from the official link. It will be like MSI dot, co or something like that, or MSI dot org or something, and you need to be very careful because this is malware or viruses. They've been trying to do that to like sneak in viruses and stuff. So I'll leave a link to this in the description. You're going to want to download 4.6.5, and I already have it downloaded. And it's important when you download it that you also download, it's going to give you the option to download this right here, which is RivaTuner, and this is what we're going to use to basically monitor all of our temps and stuff like that. So, once you get MSI Afterburner installed and downloaded, it's going to look like this. It might look a little different, at least aesthetically. What you're going to want to do is click the cog over here. What we're going to do is we're going to go to monitoring. And what we're going to do is we're going to set it to where we can see all the stuff for our CPU. So if we scroll down a little bit, we're going to see our CPU temperature, but you're going to see a number associated with it. You're not going to want to click this. I mean, you could click it, but it's going to show you each individual core for your CPU and all of their temps. So if you really want to be nitpicky about it, you can enable all of them, but it's going to be a lot of text on your screen unless you configure it the right way. So scroll down, and you're going to see CPU temperature, just all on its own here at the bottom. You're going to want to click this to where it's highlighted, and you're going to want to click the check for show in on-screen display. And you're going to want to set it to text. Then you're going to want to scroll down a little more, and where it says CPU usage, you're going to want to do the same thing. You're going to repeat the same thing for CPU clock, and you're going to repeat the same thing for CPU power. Now with this done, this has now enabled us to basically see hardware monitoring. If you go to on-screen display, you're going to want to toggle on-screen display and set it to whatever key you want. And when you click that, you can turn on the on-screen display or turn it off. And we're going to click apply and OK. Now we can minimize this, and we have RivaTuner installed so we can see all this. And now if I go into any type of game or any type of workload that I can set this to, you'll see here that on the top left here on Apex Legends in the settings page, you'll see that I can see my CPU temp, my CPU usage, my CPU clock, and my CPU power. Now, CPU clock's not really going to matter to us at the moment. If you've underclocked it, it's going to matter because you're going to want to see if it's listening to the underclock and it's not exceeding the underclock. And you're also going to want to look at your CPU power to see if it's exceeding the amount of watts or voltage that from your undervolt. CPU usage will tell you if your CPU is using max percent, if it's basically throttling and it's using 100% usage. And CPU temp, the most important one. You want to make sure that your CPU temp does not go any higher than 90°C. 85°C is already pretty hot, but technically it's within the safe level. But you do not want your CPU to go over 90°C. If you start playing games and your CPU is going over 90°C consistently or spiking over 90°C, you need to turn off your computer, go to the BIOS, and you need to undervolt, and you need to underclock immediately to get those CPU temps in check. If you're not, that's where you're going to run into the issue with your Intel 13 or 14th gen chip, that it's going to start getting faulty parts, or it's going to start degrading, or it could just ultimately die on you eventually because you're going to burn out the cores. So just keep in mind, monitor this, keep your eye on it while you're playing games.
So that's how you guys download and configure MSI Afterburner. Like I said, just have this up when you're playing games or whatever you're doing. You're really going to want to monitor your temps big time and your volts. You don't want your chip to just give out on you or possibly overheat and have heat damage. But yeah, like I said, if you can return your Intel 13 or 14th gen chip, I'd recommend doing that. Find a way to do that. If you can't and you're in that boat, make sure you're watching your temps, make sure you're underclocking, you're undervolting, make sure you've updated your BIOS, make sure you're doing all the things to be safe, because again, you don't want to degrade your CPU, you don't want to kill your CPU also. And again, not to rip on Intel, I think it's really scummy what they're doing right now. But again, I think they overall are a very good company. They normally have very reliable CPUs. Hopefully they can just get this all sorted out. So thanks for watching. If you guys like this video, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.